Hey everybody. We had one of our subscribers and ask us about leaving the track, circling out ahead, circling or leaving the track somehow. So we figured we'd do a video about it, and it's been my experience, and I don't know it all, but it's been my experience that there's some advantages to leaving the track and definitely some disadvantages. So we kind of made a list here of what we got. Now, some of the pros to leaving the track could be that you could stay on the downwind side. You could also end up on the wrong side. If you circle very far ahead, you could they could smell you for some reason if there was a wind change. So that one could kind of go either way, even though it's been my experience that it's worked pretty good, especially in short spots. Only leaving it for a little ways, it's worked to my advantage to circle on a downwind side some, especially in a barnyard. One of the advantages to leaving the tracks, you could use cover. You could circle where there's a little more cover, or even be quieter when you're walking along in different covers. So there's some advantages there. If you happen to have everything go right, it could save some time. You could probably move faster and swing out around where the deer wasn't, and then hopefully come into them. You could maybe even find a better one or a fresher track, but again, that could go either way. The deer could come to you. That's really nice. If you know that they're going up a ridge and you circle out ahead and you get in front of them, that could work for you. Some of the downsides, you could definitely end up upwind. You're circling the deer more, and when you circle a deer, you have more time to be seen. So that could work, either for you or against you. If the deer are all about the same size, say you had several deer, it's tough to know if you're still on your deer, especially if there's a blood trail. If there's a blood trail, boy, I never ever leave, because I could end up on the wrong deer, and I would lose so much time trying to figure out if I was in the right place or not, that wouldn't work. Another big thing too is if somebody else is tracking and they come onto your track, they could cut you off and end up taking your deer. It often ends up in a longer route, and you could lose time, and that's why time is really, to me, the advantages of circling and saving time to losing time, it's leaned more towards I've lost more time when I left the track. It definitely ends up in a longer route, and that goes back to losing time, so that can be an issue. If you pick up the speed and you move faster, you very well could bump into them. And I've had this happen more than gaining and being, swinging ahead. But if you know the cover, it helps you like crazy. That can be an advantage. But for me, it seems to lean towards I bust into them more. I make a mistake. I get going too fast. I don't concentrate as much, and I lose. You're oftentimes in an area with less concentrated deer sign and deer activity, and for me, I want to be right on them, and that makes the find a better one, a fresher, bigger track or whatever, it leans in this direction. It's more of a con for me. You end up farther away from the deer for a period of time, and the speed and bumping into them becomes more of an issue. If you know the terrain good, though, and you know the area real well, that can be a big advantage, because you can get ahead of them if you know where the deer likes to travel, and they could come to you. That could be a big advantage. And then, of course, another reason, this is one of my big ones, is I don't know the deer's speed, how fast he's going anymore, because I left the track. I don't know his attitude. I don't know if he stopped and made a scrape or he left any sign. I don't know the speed. So this one here is huge for me, and that's a big one. And for me, I generally don't leave the track all that much, but if I do, it's just for a short period of time, and it's in a situational thing where it's to my advantage. And it has to be adjustable and go either way. If we tally the scoreboard up here, you got three big strikes against leaving the track. You do. But you also have a few advantages, and the deer coming to you can be a big one, and you can stay on the downwind side, that can be a big one. So if I keep it short and situational, and you just got to decide, you got to weigh the pros and the cons to leaving the track. And it's a tough one. It's not easy to do, but it's definitely worth it. And it's paid more often than not to not leave the track for me. This column here has more things going on, and some of the pros don't always work out, but I've had some situations where this has been an advantage. So you got to make a decision and figure it out for yourself. I wish there was some nice, easy way of getting that done, but boy, there just isn't. So you have to weigh it out and do what's right for you, and that's why it's hunting.
Yeah, the nose knows.
Follow your nose. It always knows.
Yeah.